What happens to a generation raised on dopamine, fed instant gratification, trained by algorithms, tamed by taps, swipes, and scrolling loops that never end? What happens when focus becomes a fossil? When silence feels like suffocation? When comfort becomes a cage with velvet walls? You get a war, not fought with bombs or bullets, but with bandwidth, with time, with the very architecture of the mind. And right now, whether you know it or not, you're in that war. This is the battlefield. Your attention, your discipline, your power, and what's being stolen, your potential, your future. The flame of greatness that once burned in every young soul, now dimmed by distraction, hijacked by handheld gods with glowing screens. But here's the truth they'll never show you in ads. You can steal the fire back. You were not born to be a consumer. You were not meant to be endlessly entertained. You were designed to build, to struggle, to rise, to conquer. But somewhere along the way, your fire was traded for comfort. And discipline became a dirty word, associated with burnout, boredom, or self-denial. But it's not. Discipline is your weapon. The ancient code passed down through warriors, inventors, revolutionaries. It's what Edison used to fail 10,000 times. What Lincoln clung to through civil war and heartbreak. What Elon Musk bleeds into every second of his day. Not for likes, not for attention, but for legacy. Because legacy is built in quiet, in the dark hours when no one is watching, when the world tells you to relax, but your soul whispers, build. And that whisper, that's your inner flame, still alive, still waiting, still unbroken beneath the rubble of notifications and short-form dopamine hits. But to hear it, you must shut the noise, and silence isn't easy. Not now. Not in a world where the average attention span has plummeted below that of a goldfish. Not when you've been programmed to flinch without a buzz or beep. But silence is the gate. It is the ritual before the fire. You must learn to sit in it, to become uncomfortable in boredom, and then to become reborn through it. Because here's the truth. The very platforms that stole your focus can be outwitted, but not with hacks, not with apps, not with trendy productivity techniques, only with rebuilt discipline. Not the punishment kind, but the kind that reclaims your time like sacred ground, that says, this hour is mine, this brain is mine, this fire mine. You want to escape that cycle? Then you need to burn the rule book they gave you. The rule book that says, grind now, sleep when you're dead, stay busy, or you'll fall behind. Success is only for the ones who suffer most. Lieutenant, absolute lie. Because the 1% aren't drowning in their calendars. They're surfing them, riding waves of focus while the rest are stuck in noise. You think Steve Jobs built Apple through chaos? He was ruthless with simplicity, with what not to do, with eliminating the unnecessary to worship what matters. That's the secret of flow. It thrives in subtraction, not in adding 57 tasks to your day, but by cutting until the only thing left is the one that matters. You don't find greatness by doing more. You find it by doing less, but better. One clear goal, one locked-in intention, one task executed with the force of a storm. That's where flow lives, in the depth, not the speed. In the stillness between the noise, in the calm before the strike. But here's the problem. Most people are too addicted to stimulation to find it. Their minds are on a constant dopamine drip. TikTok hits, notification spikes, micro-validation loops. They've trained their brain to panic in silence, to fear stillness, to equate boredom with failure. But boredom is not your enemy. It's your gateway. The threshold you must cross before flow opens its door. Hill said, your subconscious mind works day and night, drawing the picture you plant into your thoughts. And what are you planting? 1,000 scattered to-dos, or one burning vision that overrides distraction? You can't find flow in clutter. You earn it with clarity, with deep work, with rituals that separate warriors from the wandering. Every morning you pick up your phone before you pick up your purpose. You surrender. Every time you scroll when you should build, you weaken your rhythm. Every time you multitask, your focus fractures and flow evaporates. You don't need another planner. You need a war plan, designed around energy, not obligation. Designed to pull you into momentum, not drain your soul. That means cutting obligations that don't serve your future. That means learning to say no, not out of arrogance, but out of reverence for your potential. Because your mind is sacred ground, and every distraction is a trespasser. You want to unlock legendary performance? Then protect your mental temple like it holds the cure to mediocrity. Because it does. And when you get it right, flow takes over. Time slows. Work feels like instinct. The noise fades, and you become the architect of something eternal. There's a version of you they've never met. Not the one with 5 tabs open. Not the one glued to the feed. Not the one endlessly starting and stopping. Number, I'm talking about the version forged in silence, sharpened in suffering, laser-locked on mission. The version that doesn't need motivation. Because they've replaced it with ritual. You see, discipline isn't about forcing yourself. It's about designing yourself. When your mind is at war, you don't hope for clarity. You build it through rules, through systems, through relentless self-respect. Because when you respect yourself deeply, you no longer tolerate wasted time. You no longer chase validation. You no longer make deals with distraction. You become the type of person who sits down and executes, whether it's day 1 or day 100, whether you feel it or don't, whether the world claps or stays silent. Because now you know the secret. The world doesn't reward the loudest. It rewards the most disciplined. And make no mistake, you will be tempted by the scroll, by the comfort, by the siren song of easy. But every time you say no to distraction, you say yes to evolution. You earn your edge. You sharpen your weapon. Because here's the law. Focus is currency. Energy is leverage. Discipline is freedom. Not freedom from work, but freedom from weakness. Freedom from dependence. Freedom from the sick, slow death of wasted potential. And the moment you decide, really decide, to no longer be owned by algorithms, to no longer be programmed by platforms, to no longer be shackled by your own short-term feelings, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when your actions turn into identity. That's when your mornings become sacred. That's when you walk into rooms differently. Not because you talk louder, but because people feel your self-command. You've rebuilt discipline. You've stolen the fire. And now, you set the world on fire with it. So go, break the cycle, destroy the loop, reject the narrative that says you're too distracted, too soft, too late, because you're not. You're early. You're rising. You're built for more. And the world will either be burned by your focus or rebuilt by it. Decide. Now and never look back.